Welcome to the Secret Rare podcast. Today we are joined with a very special guest because Daddy is on holiday. We have got, as always, Nathan, who we all love. We've got me, who is fine, and we have got Ross Gilbert, the actual Ross Gilbert, who everyone knows and loves. Please, Ross, tell us who you are.
Hi, yeah, I'm Ross Gilbert. I call myself Wassy, which apparently is the same as Jonathan Ross, and that occasionally causes confusion. Every so often, somebody really famous follows me on Twitter and then realizes I'm in fact not Jonathan Ross and then unfollows me really quickly. Last time it was a geologist with 4 million followers who I'd never heard of.
Fantastic.
But they were apparently a big deal. Yeah, I make Pokemon videos and that's my job, which is bizarre. I sometimes make videos about other card games and I sometimes cast Pokemon and other tournaments, and I've been doing that since 2016, which is way too long and yet not long enough.
Some would say that you're actually a proper big deal in Pokemon. Like I hold you up there with like Cerebi Joe and Ross, like up here with like if I had you two in a battle against each other with like Pokemon knowledge, I genuinely don't know who would win. It's like you're
Joe by a country mile. But if we left it purely to TCG, I might be able to beat Joe. But it would have to be very strictly TCG.
Oh man, you really are like the master of the TCG. I remember when I first met you, I was genuinely starstruck because I got into watching when I got back into TCG like earlier, like just before 2020, before the pandemic. I was watching your videos to kind of get back up to date on it all. And like when I was in the room with you and I heard your voice, I was like, Richie, is that Ross? And it was just
and then you met me and you're like, oh, that was a waste.
Oh, it was so fun. It's wild now that you know who I am and I'm like, this is scary, this is weird.
No, but here's a weird thing. I was chatting to my wife. I was on my phone and I saw this ridiculous video of somebody sanding a PS5 controller. And I showed my wife and I was just like, why would someone do this? And I'm like, oh, wait, that's Gaming Bible. So I just messaged you and I'm like, why would you do this? And it was kind of weird that I'm like, I can just message a dude that posted that video and he will tell me.
And in my defense, I didn't actually do it myself. It was something we chased and sourced. Normally, we have permission from the creator. That's how Gaming Bible works. We get sources, we get permission. Don't worry. But yeah, Ross, like, can you tell us a little bit of how you got into casting? Because if anyone like logs in for Pokemon Worlds to watch it live, the TCG, they're more than likely going to see your face explaining every single intricate layer of the TCG and how it all works.
I mean, so getting into casting is a weird thing because like anybody could have done what I did back in like 2015, but no one else really seemed to want to. Like nowadays, everybody wants to cast, and every time there's an official stream, there's a whole bunch of people posting on Twitter like, I want to be on that team in the future. But most people don't actually try and do it. So back in like 2015, they put together an American team. There was there were like official US streams, but they had no European team. So I decided if they ever did put a European team together, I wanted in. So I went to a lot of tournaments back then. There was one year, we used to have player awards that would be sent out automatically at the end of the season, and they scaled depending on how much you played. And there was exactly 1 year, where the top 100 players, by play point, it was purely how much you played, got special, like, super rewards, including a Pokemon catcher, which is super rare that nobody wants or cares about. But I have it. Because I was, that year, one of the 100 most active players in the entire world. And so what I started doing was I'd go to a tournament, and I knew all the tournament organizers. So I'd ask them in advance, and I'd have a little table set up. I'd set up a camera, and I'd play in the tournament. But every round, I would have one game being recorded. And then at the end of the tournament, I'd go home and just commentate these games by myself and upload them to my YouTube channel. They're all still there. And my theory was no one else is doing this. So if Pokemon ever try and put a European team together, they kind of are probably going to interview me because, I mean, look, Pokemon are watching content creators. That is not a secret. Mm-hmm. Any company is watching content creators that cover their brand, their game, whatever it might be. And frankly, companies that aren't doing that are just not doing their job properly. But everyone is nowadays. So I figured they'd see me doing this and they'd probably interview me. And it worked. And apparently I wasn't that bad at it. But like Nationals 2015, I gave up playing to cast. And for anyone that follows the Pokemon TCG, that was the year where Lysander's trump card wasn't banned. They banned it before US Nationals because it completely broke the game. But it was legal for UK Nationals. So if you didn't play Seismitoads, you literally couldn't win. So it wasn't a great tournament in terms of casting. And I casted day one solo. Nobody else in the entire room would give up. So 8, 9 rounds, however many it was, literally casted every single round all by myself.
That's mad.
And then with Top Cut, I pulled in one person for each round. And then some people got really angry that I didn't include them. Even though they could have joined me for the whole of day one, but they didn't want to because they were playing. And essentially, after all of this, they did put a team together. They did come and interview me. I literally quit my like proper high-profile good teaching job. And it went well.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, you're not just a teacher, but you taught law, right?
I taught law and business, mostly A-level. It's 16 to 19. And it was a huge leap at the time. Like, there is an alternate reality where it went hilariously wrong. Because it's like, at the time, I'm running these 2 A-levels there. I'm sorry, this sounds vain, but it's true. Fantastically successful. I'm taking, and we can rank them. Like, we've got GCSE grades, so we can literally rank classes. I'm taking, like, a bottom 3 class out of 20-odd. And we're outperforming chemistry and further maths, who only cherry-pick straight A students. And my students are getting better grades than these. I was doing really well. And, they were going to hire more teachers, make me a proper head of department. I was going to get a huge pay rise. Their words, not mine. And then I was just like, or I quit. And, like, at the time I quit, it was German nationals and Italian nationals. YouTube was not making enough money to live on at that point, not even close. So I quit to do these 2 events with no promise of any future work and moved to Cornwall, proposed to and marry my then girlfriend, now wife, and just kind of assumed it would work out all right. It was a tremendous leap of faith that could have gone hilariously wrong, but with a few hiccups here and there, it worked out all right.
I think it worked out pretty well.
But
that's an incredible
the whole
story.
Casting... That's ridiculous. It really is. But anybody, like back in 2015, anybody could have been, like, I wasn't using high-level equipment. Anybody could have been doing what I was doing and trying to get into casting, but nobody really wanted to back then. Like, the leap of faith, that was a bit extra. But nowadays, it's much harder to get into, but it's really quite simple. Like, if you want to get into casting, go to a league challenge or a league cup, record some games, and then cast them. Like, it's really not that hard to get into. And if you do a good job, you will get noticed. And if you're good enough, I mean, look at the last few people Pokemon have taken on. They are people in the community who we all knew because they were doing stuff like this. Pokemon have shown us that they're hiring. And obviously, I can't speak for Pokemon. I'm not an employee. I do not speak for them. All I'm saying is, look at the last few casters they've taken on. They were not surprising names. They were people who were doing this kind of stuff.
No,
yeah.
I mean, like,
I think it's nice as well to like.
Go on, Ed.
Sorry, all I was going to say was, probably a very similar vein. I think it is nice to see the community not rewarded because they've earned it, but see that this sort of synergy between the brand and content creators sometimes, and it does come in a a nice serendipitous way of like, well, look, we need someone who knows what they're doing, and you have made yourself available. We know you're very good at what you do, and we know you also have a fan base, so you might get more eyes in this tournament. It works for everyone, and it is so lovely to see creators such as yourself, ultimately earn their way up there, but also get the recognition that people with this knowledge deserve.
Yeah, I mean, take Ethan Heggie. He wasn't actually a traditional caster. He was, when we all had that lockdown, Ethan was running a whole bunch of online tournaments. And then one day, Ethan kind of gets, I don't know what it was, an email or whatever it was. And now Ethan's on the casting team and absolutely crushing it. And I love seeing that because, like, every time a new caster pops up, I'm like, oh, it's them. Because obviously I'm following this too, but I know everybody at this point. And it's so nice seeing people popping up and being like, oh, man, they've really earned it. So I get asked this question a lot, and I always give the same advice, which is just, if you want to cast, go and cast. But don't be that person sitting on Twitter tweeting out, oh, I really want to get on this team next year. Well, what are you doing about it?
No, you got to prove it. You got to... Yeah, there's a phrase I've completely forgotten, which I should remember right now, which I think is like, is it like preparation and luck combined equals opportunity? Like, if you don't prepare, like you're not going to be lucky. Yeah, it's like that, but like it's a saying.
don't wait for someone to offer it to you. Start doing it.
Yeah,
Like I think that's the other thing. Like just get doing it, and whether you don't have any viewers or not, like if you're in the community, somebody will notice at some point.
And one day you could be the cool kids on the back of a Pokemon bus, bullying everyone else on there. Ross.
Yeah, I've heard a little bit of this story. I need
at one point.
Oh no, it was.
I need to hear more of this.
Oh, was this at
Worlds?
Worlds?
You and Joe at the back of the bus, just being absolute bullies, being the cool kids on the bus.
Right. Why bullies? What you mean is absolutely wrecking the quiz because we knew literally everything, to the point Joe and I each had a question where the question was given out, and Joe and I went, hang on a second, you've not... Like, when they asked when the first World Championships was held, I'm like, well, it's, what do you mean by first World Championships? Are we talking first TPCI or actual first that most people don't count?
Love it. Yeah. You and Joe were just incredible on that bus journey. It was so much fun. Oh my god! Looking back, I think we should probably shift gears a little bit now to actually talk about what just released in the video games, the Pokemon Epilogue, which I have not played, but you two have. So can you kind of give me an insight of what that's all about?
Absolutely. I smashed through it for. Sorry, I assumed that was headed to me.
Sorry, I'm not Jordan. Jordan is very good at kind of saying a name and pointing it that way. This is the first time I'm doing this. This is not my expertise. So yeah, go on, Nathan.
Okay, all right. Yes, so I was literally sat Thursday for waiting for 2 p.m. so I could write my guide as I was quickly playing through the epilogue, but also managed to enjoy it. Timed it a bit my lunch break, so I didn't have to go too crazy. It is a final little story, a little addendum, which ties up the story of Carmine, of Kieran, also involves Penny and Arvin with your player character, and also ties up the folklore around the loyal trio, which we've found in Kitakami. And it also borrows from the Momotaro folklore Japanese story of the peach that comes to life, or there's a baby in a peach or something like that. I don't know enough about it, but it is based on Japanese folklore, and it's something to do with a small child being inside a peach or a plant. Somebody with more expertise will be able to explain it, but it is based on something. Anyway, the epilogue, about an hour long, really fun little breeze through Kitakami and people you know. It's very silly. It's got some level 79, 80 trainer battles, but not enough. And at the end, you get Pecharunt, the new mythical. That's pretty much it. But it is also quite fun. It's got some good dialogue. It's a nice little silly thing at the end. And also, if you do this, you get more of the... not Ace Academy, the Blueberry League trainer battles where you pay Blueberry points or barbecue points to get the trainers to come over. If you complete the epilogue and you've done the other ones, you now have a few more to do as well, including, I think, like Nimona and someone else. But I haven't done all of that. Someone else did that guide. Anyway, it's cracking. I think it's really lovely. It's literally an hour long, and I think it's a really nice little send off, and it's a good way of tying together all the characters. Arguably the strongest cast a Pokemon game has ever had, and it's really nice to see that paid attention to and see them all brought together. I'm assuming, Ross, have you completed it as well?
Yeah, I have. So I'm one of the cool things about my job, because I'm my own boss and I make my own hours. Like last Thursday, the DLC comes out, and I'm like, I'm just taking a break at 2:00.
Yeah.
DLC drop. The epilogue drops at 2:00. I mean, I had to stop at 3 to go pick my kid. I was like 5 minutes from the end, and I'm like, probably should pick my children up from school. Finish this when I come home. Like, I got to the Pecharunt fight, and I'm like, probably should get my kids. But it was really fun just to be able to just like drop work and just do it straight away. And I couldn't quite figure out why I loved it so much. And then somebody put on Twitter, and it was, I can't remember who it was, I'm sorry, but they nailed it perfectly, which is just, in the past, this would have just been a distribution of a mythical Pokemon. Mm-hmm. Now we get to play this little hour-long story where they introduce it, tell us all about it, and then we catch it at the end. And I was like, oh my word, that's so good. And that's perfect. Yeah. It's not like a new game. It's just a very quick 1 hour thing, but it's just, they introduce this mythical Pokemon. They get you excited about the mythical Pokemon, and then you catch the mythical Pokemon. But it's so much cooler because you've had this intro. Whereas, I mean, I don't know if you guys remember this. I'm old enough that I would take my Game Boy to like stores and literally plug it in and get a mythical Pokemon onto it.
I remember.
And, then there were DSs where you would go and you would have your wireless on and it would be transmitted from a card to it. So This is such a cooler way of doing that.
Yeah, 100%. I remember driving to a Cribs Causeway in Bristol and going to Toys R Us. I think it was to get Deoxys,
Yes.
or maybe it was to get. I think it was to get the ticket for Deoxys, and then another time I remember getting a Darkrai or something. But like even in recent years, it's been use this code, get Zarude. He's the new mythical, by the way. Have at it. And like there was a movie that was fun, but like we didn't get that before. Did we get that before we got Zarude as a myth? Doesn't matter. You're right. In game, it's much more fun to have this teased, and like we kind of got a hint at Petarun earlier on. Like there was the mochi shop, Penny's the person that sells it. Like people had already pieced it together because of the story. We've had theories about this for months. That's really fun. That's really nice for like the community to be like, wait, I think there's another Pokemon. I think the mythical is going to be part of this. Like, you're right. It's so much more interesting than here's a ticket to the island. Deoxys is there. Go on. Like,
and speaking of the film, right? So because I'm a ridiculous Pokemon TCG nerd, the soundtrack to that film in Japanese came with a promo card, well-rounded musician, I think is the way it was mostly translated. So obviously I bought it for the promo card because I'm not an idiot. The title song in Japanese is an absolute banger. And I have a playlist on my phone that I play in the car with my kids. That's on there. My 4 and 5-year-old are very familiar with a Japanese theme tune to that movie. It's so good.
Amazing.
English theme, fine. Japanese theme, banger.
Didn't that card have something to do with like it being one of the only human-based cards or something like that? I can't remember.
No, so that was a supporter card. What you're thinking of, there was another Coco promo, which is the actual character Coco, which is a Pokemon card, which is a human and is legal for tournament play, which is the only time that's happened.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, because
Coco thinks there is a Rude, right? If I remember,
Yes.
I've only seen that movie once. I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean,
So it's a human character as a Pokemon card, not a supporter card.
That makes sense.
More of that. I want like
I have that as well, don't worry.
I want like Lieutenant Surge is just decked to, Morpeko or something. Like
Oh man, I'm kind of depressed that the Detective Yoshida card isn't actually a Pokemon card. I know it's a trainer and it's still awesome, but the idea of
it's cool.
Ken Watanabe is kicking ass, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still confused why we never got that card in English. There is no good reason why we didn't get that card. Just randomly cut from the English set. There is no reason for that, and it makes me sad.
I remember I went on eBay and bought that card because I genuinely thought it was stunning. Like, I love it. Like, having an actual photograph of a human was great.
You showed it to me earlier, and also Snubble's one of my favorite Pokemon, so I was like, I think I need to order that.
Have you picked it up?
Me? No.
Yeah.
No, not yet. No.
Sorry,
I might do it at some point, but it's definitely now in my eye of like, okay, if I buy a card, maybe that's the one. But also, I've become obsessed with, and it's the one that Jordan was talking about last week, is the Pokemon 151 Full Art Poliwhirl.
That's really nice.
I remember seeing it, and I remember like thinking about it at the time, and I was like, that's great. And then Jordan talked about it again last week, and then I spotted a Reddit post as well recently that was like, this is obviously the best card from 151, right? And I was just like, it is, yeah. I need that Poliwhirl. And now my mind is nothing but that Poliwhirl art. I want a poster. I want everything. Like, that's my next. If I buy a card outright, that's the one I'm doing next.
When I went to Japan for Worlds, I basically lost a day and a half to a literal typhoon, which was not ideal. Ooh. But one of the cool things was I was in Japan and it was heavily raining. So at nighttime, I kind of pop outside and I'm like, I'm in the Poliwhirl card.
Just staring down at a puddle like...
I feel like I legally can't have that card because I have a Poliwag collection. Like, I have a little binder that's full of Poliwags, like ranging from like Shadowless First Editions. I've tried to decide to get every single available Poliwag, which I thought would be a very, very, very easy task. But it's not, because there's a really rare one from the N64 Pokemon Snap game, is it? Is it Pokemon Snap?
Oh, you will never own that card, mate.
Never. Why did I choose Poliwag?
Those Snap cards.
That was ridiculous.
Wow.
I had no idea at the time, and now I have so much regret that I went out and bought weird Poliwags.
Choosing an older Pokemon is just making it much harder for yourself.
But Poliwag, though. Poliwag.
But little Pokemon TCG collecting tip, right? Doesn't matter what Pokemon, what artist, whatever you choose, sooner or later, there will be an impossible to get one. Like Okacheke, my favorite artist in the Pokemon TCG. And they've done some cards like the I think it was Ice Rider Calyrex V, which is, on the more expensive side. We're talking like a 50 quid card. It's fine. They also did the Flareon V Max Alternate Art, which in English was in a collection box, nice and easy. I have 2 of them, obviously. In Japanese, it was a promo where they printed it's like 3,003 or something. And that card, it costs about as much as a car. It's like a 3 to 5 grand card.
Jesus.
So, like most people, they're like, oh, mate, if my YouTube ever really takes off, I'm going to go on this big holiday. Like, if my YouTube ever really takes off and I become one of those YouTubers, first one I'm going to buy, Japanese Flareon.
Wow.
So, yeah. And then like a rapper, PSA graded around your neck. Like,
oh, yes.
Anyway, speaking about...
I saw it in person.
Go on, Karen.
I was going to say there was one card shop in the Goetz. It was a set of 3. It was a Jolteon, Flareon, and Vaporeon. I entered the competition to get them in Japanese. You had to fill in a deck list in Japanese and then you had to make a Japanese trainer account, which I actually already had. Then you had to enter a competition in Japanese on the Japanese website, making a deck list and all of that. And I did all of it, but then they only gave out 3,000. I just didn't win.
Oh my God.
But it used to get the trio of them, and that trio was some ridiculous price. But I got to see it in person. I'm like, yeah,
that's cool.
I can't have it.
Even the promos for the English versions, they're not the cheapest, right? Like they generally have held their value really weirdly, unlike most just box promo cards in the last 2 years.
Yeah, the boxes were quite easy to find for a very small period of time. And I think there's a bunch of people that regret not picking them up when they had the chance.
No, yeah. I picked up the Flareon one because I really love the Flareon artwork, similar to you.
What do we, I know this is slightly off topic. We're coming in hot on Paldean Fates. What do we think is going to be the chase card from that one? Or is there already one that's in the lead?
I can tell you what the chase card's going to be if you want me to.
Do it.
Go on.
You're here for a reason.
There's a special illustration rare Charizard, also done by Akira Igawa, who is the same artist who did it for Obsidian Flames. And there is also an Iono special illustration rare. I think the Charizard we have seen revealed in English. Yeah. The Iono isn't revealed, so it might not be in the set. But come on, it was in the Japanese set.
It will be.
Yeah,
Iono especially.
They're going to be the big 2.
Yeah.
Are we getting? Is it that one that had the? No, I'm confusing it. I was thinking of the gold foil cards, but that's a different one, isn't it? That's
No, there's some gold cards in there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The Treasures of Ruin and the box legendaries are getting gold cards.
I thought it was the Treasures of Ruin, but I didn't know if we had shiny versions of them. But it's not all shinies, is it? It's yeah.
No.
God, sorry, my eye. Yeah, I got
again not. It's confirmed we are getting some gold cards. If they weren't the same gold cards as Japanese, that would be incredibly strange.
Are these the weird greeny gold ones where they kind of like...
Yeah, and they're almost embossed. Like the foil is different. They look. I've seen some videos in the Japanese release. They look really cool. Be nice.
I'm intrigued to
see if we get the same quality over here, because obviously it's not always the same.
I think we're supposed to. We're at least getting the embossed thing. I remember reading the press release, and it kind of said they are going to have the etched foil, and they phrased it differently to how they normally do.
Yeah. They made a point about the texture. Yeah.
Which is nice to see.
We're almost certainly, but
it seems.
But it's the Charizard and Iono. They're going to be the big 2.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, nice.
I'll see if I try and pull 2 this time.
I'm sorry to ruin the question.
No.
To be fair, I do also really want that. We've talked about it loads. The full art blue Mew. I want that one so bad.
Oh god, yeah. You're really wanting that.
It's just the art style. I can't remember the name of the artist, but it's a very
Uzgaman.
It's like the illustrated, like childlike sort of illustration. It's Mew just like it's just.
Do you follow them on Twitter?
I don't. I follow them on Instagram, and I remember when the card was first revealed as part of the Japanese version, and people were like, "That person who just makes doodly pictures, it can't be them," and everyone was like, "No, it's totally them," and I was like, "Yes!" Like they're so cool. So I hope to do.
I saw it, and I was just like, "That can't be real." That dude does Pokemon fan art on Twitter, and it turns out it is real. I'm so happy.
Yeah,
but I kind of love that because they've been doing this awesome Pokemon fan art on Twitter for years, and then Pokemon at some point were just like, "Do you want to do a real card?" And they crushed it.
Yeah. Did they enter the?
It's so good.
Did they enter the illustration contests at all, or did they just come in through like invitation?
They didn't get the job as the winner of the illustration contest. But like Okacheka, I mentioned earlier, they entered the illustration contest, didn't win, but now they are like in the regular. They do a lot of cards.
Yeah.
So they're clearly in the rotation, despite not win. They've done a lot more cards than the person who won the illustration contest the year they didn't win.
That's bonkers.
Yeah, it's obviously still a really good way for them to find creators, which is fantastic for everyone involved.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I suppose
we're way off topic there.
No. I suppose while we're talking about stunning artwork, should we mention the recently revealed new stunning illustration race from not Temporal Forces, but the Japanese version, which name has completely eluded me. But those are
Wild Force and Cyber Judge.
Yes, they are beautiful.
Wild Force, Cyber Judge. There we go.
Like I pulled them up
so
next to me,
good.
and oh my god, yeah! Like the gouging fire is just gorgeous. I can't believe it's. Yeah, I'm just looking at them like, oh, I want them.
So they've done that thing I love when Pokemon do this. They've got the ancient trio, your Gouging Fire, your Raging Bolt, and your Walking Wake, are all done by T-Zero, who I know you and I actually had the pleasure of meeting when we went to Creatures, which was awesome. And every time I see, like, I'm getting more and more of an appreciation for their art as time goes by. One of my biggest regrets about Worlds, not that this has anything to do with what we're talking about, I bought the Sandigas that they did, the illustration rare Sandigas.
I remember this conversation.
I bought it in Akihabara. It was in my hotel room. I then met T-Zero and didn't have that card on me to get signed, and I'm so salty about that. That would have been amazing. Yeah. But they've done the trio with ancient Pokemon, and it's just... The Raging Bolt is one of my very, very, very favorite cards I've ever seen. It's just phenomenal.
I really love the Iron Boulder, and I made sure I got the name up so I didn't get it wrong. And the Flutter main from, is it Takumi Wada, the person who did the Breath of the Wild key art? That one is amazing. I didn't realize they'd also done, is it
Aegislash?
Thank you. I couldn't remember if it was AG or Aegislash, but yeah, that card is incredible. But that's out. Is that what a promo or is it? I can't remember. But yeah, anyway,
that was just in a set.
It's gonna be one
that I think is absolutely gorgeous.
I think it's in one of our ETBs.
Yeah, it's a confirmed ETB promo,
which will be good.
Oh, amazing! Fantastic. Yeah,
so it's an easy get.
Yeah, that was going to be easy to get.
Are any of these Ross going to be big cards in the actual competitive, or are they just stunners?
I mean, right, though that it depends really what you're asking me. Are you asking me, are normal people who actually play the games very seriously going to like them, or am I obsessed? Because ever since we got Scarlet and Violet, I've been leaning towards Future, but I've not like really dug in and been like, this is my side. I am now 100% on Ancient. Because we've got a Roaring Moon that for 2 energy does 70 damage, plus 10 for each ancient card in your discard pile, which is perfect for me.
Oh my God, yeah.
And there's a Koraidon that for 2 energy does 30 damage for each ancient Pokemon you've got in play. But we've got really easy energy acceleration in ancient decks. And I think the two of them together are going to be redonkulous. There's a new Miraidon that helps future decks. It hits for 40 and accelerates 2 energy from your deck, which is huge, because if it accelerates from your hand, you have to get it in your hand. If it accelerates from the discard pile, you have to get it in the discard. But accelerating it from the deck, it's just there ready to go. But it does 40, but it's really easy with cards like Iron Crown EX and Future Boost Energy Capsule to get it up to 80, which is the key number for KOing evolving basics and small support Pokemon. Mm-hmm. So you can be accelerating energy in the early game while taking little prizes. So basically, Ancient and Future decks both got a bazillion times better, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And then there's a few other cards out there which people are going to like, but they're the ones that really stood out to me as like, oh, these are going to make like a genuine, real difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm loving it.
I've seen lots of people... I've seen lots of people talk about the Clippers, which would be an interesting one, and a lot of the Ace-Specs cards coming back. I didn't play TCG when Ace-Specs was in the fray, so that coming back, like, how much significance is that?
Oh, huge! Everyone's gonna have one Ace-Spec in their deck. Like, I was around when they came out the first time round. I was around.
I wasn't a TCG player at the time. I was still here.
So computer search was the big one back then. The default was, I'm going to play computer search, And then Dowsing Machine was like Darkrai and a couple of other decks. And there was Scramble Switch, which it was this really big swingy card. And if you hit it big in testing, you would play it for a tournament and then realize you only played it because you hit big in testing. And everybody did that at least once. Nowadays, it's going to be Prime Catcher. Prime Catcher it's just gusting on an item card. Just bring a bench Pokemon active with no downside. It's ridiculous. The new Ancient and Future ones are actually really good. The Ancient draws 1 card for each Ancient Pokemon you've got in play. So potentially an item draws 6, which for context, they will not print a supporter card that draws 4. There's always a downside. You've got to work to get 4. So an item card that can get you 6 is ridiculous. And then the Future one lets you attach a basic energy from your discard pile to each of your future Pokemon. So that's potentially accelerating 6 energy. So both of them could actually be redonk. But it's still going to be Prime Catcher will be the default. Basically, every single deck is going to play 1 Prime Catcher unless they have a reason to put a different one in instead. But every single deck will play 1 Ace-Spec. Guaranteed.
So for someone like me,
unless they
someone
forget.
like me who was here on Earth but wasn't in the game, what is an Ace-Spec card? Like, obviously, it's an item card, it's a tool card. But what makes it Ace-Spec? What does that mean?
It just means so Ace-Spec means you can only have 1 Ace-Spec of any description in your deck. So if you play Prime Catcher, you can only play 1 Prime Catcher, but you cannot play any other Ace-Spec. For the time being, we're going to have 6 items and 1 special energy, and you get to choose one of those 7 cards, and that is it. That's all you can play in terms of Ace-Spec. But they're so good. Like, one of my favorite things I did, I recorded a tournament way back in the day, and a dude called Jonathan Cowley went and won with Darkrai, and he played Gold Potion. It was a not very good Ace-Spec that just healed 90 damage. And I was like, why did you play Gold Potion? And his answer was, because my mate's playing Computer Search and we didn't have a second copy. That's why some of the less played ones will be played, because Prime Catcher, everyone's going to want it.
That's amazing.
I suppose I kind of have a question on, we're talking about all these cards that are all coming in and they're going to make an impact. We're currently coming up to rotation, right? So what's, in your mind, what's going to leave rotation this time that's going to cause a big change for the upcoming tournaments coming the next few weeks and months and this year?
Well, so one point I want to make, Pokemon are repeating what they did last year, which I absolutely adore. So the 5th of April is the day Temporal Forces is going to be legal. And it's also the day the rotation comes in. So we got this one tournament, and on day 1 of the tournament, the rotation hits, and we bring in this big new set, and everybody thinks they know what the play is going to be. And most people in the room are going to be wrong. And there's going to be a few people that absolutely nail the format and have a ridiculous advantage. And we did it last year with Scarlet and Violet coming in with rotation on day 1 of EUIC. And we're doing it again, and it makes, as someone who follows the game and, analyzes it and all of that, it's going to be so, EUIC is going to be an absolute banger again. It's going to be so good. Very excited for that. It's going to outright kill a few decks. Mew is literally gone. Rapid Strike is literally gone. Decks like Palkia and Gardevoir are losing a lot of tricks, although they're technically still here. There's going to be some decks like Charizard that don't lose very much. So by extension, get better. Not because they actually get better, just because they lose less than other decks. But there's going to be things like Battle VIP Pass that it's an item card you can only use on your first turn, but it just lets you grab 2 basics and bench them. It's ridiculous. It's the engine for like 3/4 of the decks in the format. Everyone's losing it, and we're using Level Ball, which would be one of the natural replacements. So everyone's going to have to kind of figure out the best way to set up their decks. And some people are going to absolutely nail it, and some people are going to get it a little bit wrong. But Japan's rotation goes into effect next Friday. So we are going to be able to look at Japan and see what they're doing. So we're going to get a little bit of a window into the future, but our format is never exactly the same as Japan. So it's going to be fun.
We losing the Pikachu VMAXs from Celebrations? Are they out?
Yeah, Celebrations is
because that was so fun. I remember that tournament where the was the rainbow with the Pikachu. I forgot what it's called. The floating Pikachu. Oh, what's it called? Flying Pikachu. That did was it flying or was it the surfing that did really incredibly well? And it was just
Flying.
Yeah,
it won
yeah.
Worlds. That tournament you're thinking of might have been
No,
the
no.
World
I'm trying to get
Championships.
around it so I don't sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I do. But also don't want to get it wrong in front of you.
Yeah, it was our London Worlds. Andrei Shkabal, who actually had Flying Pikachu, I believe, in both finals decks. They were very similar decks, just a few cards different. And it was just a great card. Surfing Pikachu did have a little bit of success in Japan, but nothing like Flying Pikachu. Flying Pikachu was the one.
Oh, nice. It feels like such a waste to not ask you these really obscure questions while you're here, because we could Google them, but you'll always explain something even better alongside that. It's just so cool.
I like the story.
Yeah.
Oh, see, one of my favorite bits. So we were you must stop me. I go on tangents a lot.
All
I
good.
don't stop talking.
All good.
So when we were at Creatures, we had a demonstration of how they play test. And I got to ask a question, and I kind of asked them, is there something that surprised you, a deck that you just didn't see coming? And they mentioned Mega Ordino, which won Worlds in 2016, which, as a little side note to a side note, making a video about that deck and uploading it the second the World Championships finals ended, that is what really launched my channel. Like, that was the first video I ever made that kind of hit, so to speak. And so I've got a kind of connection to that card. So they mentioned that card, and one of the other media people in the room was like, oh, what happened? So I started reading off the whole story of Mega Ordino. And then the translators who were there to translate what the Japanese playtesters were saying to us started translating the story I was telling to the playtesters, which was just a very bizarre thing. So yeah, I tend to do this quite a lot. But like, in my defense, like, card games is all I have. Like, unless you want me to start just telling random stories about my children, card games are all that I have.
And I appreciate it. Like,
Hey,
go on, Nathan.
Yeah, we all need a special interest. Don't worry.
I mean, it's so cool that you can have that interest.
You know, like when you're kids,
What was that?
it's fun. But like, when you're kids and your parents or the teachers or whoever are like, oh, you just need to find the one thing that you can do better than anybody else in the world. And mine's chatting rubbish about card games.
That's so cool, though. Like,
remember...
it's taken you from being a kid who liked Pokemon in a similar vein to like me and Nathan as well, to going to events and covering it, and you're being involved in it, and how, like, it's been such an impactful thing throughout all our lives that our parents, if we'd told them when we were our age, when we were kids, and went, Pokemon's going to be involved in my job somehow, they'd all be like, shut up.
Yeah.
Get out.
I remember. As a side note, in case someone thinks I'm too vain, I don't actually think I'm the best in the world at this. It was just a silly story. Don't think I'm actually trying.
No, you've said it now. You've said it now.
I think anybody aware of your work, at the very least, knows that you're definitely competent when it comes to explaining the TCG. Like, it's fun to hear that.
Yeah, competent I will take. But you talk about parents, Tom, and if I'm taking over the podcast, shut me up. But when so I have a very, very, very nice aunt. She's brilliant. And when I got 3 siblings, 2 older, 1 a bit... Well, I got 5 siblings, but at the time I only had 3. The other 2... I call them the second
on this
batch.
world at this point? Mm-hmm. Was this during A-Spec?
No. No, they were not. They were also not here when A-Specs were here. They came later.
Okay.
Or did they? No, they were here when A-Specs came out. Not important. So my aunt, she set up this savings account for all 4 of us when we were kids. And some of it went to a family holiday, and some of it went to a family computer. And then there was this money. I was 13 years old at the time. And it was the year that the Pokemon trading card game first came out, like base set came out. And I spent all of this money my aunt had been saving for the first 13 years of my life. I literally spent all of it on base set.
Amazing.
Cards.
Incredible. And
my parents were just like, you're an idiot. What a waste. Your aunt's been saving this for like your entire life, and you've gone and wasted it on pieces of cardboard. Like, that's really... And they were really kind of like disappointed in me. And now I can look back as like a dangerously close to 40-year-old and be like, was investing in my future. And it's literally
brilliant.
True.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone can match that. But what was the story of how you got back into the TCG? I remember you telling me you in a car park.
So that's also... Many of my stories are ridiculous, but I think anyone who ends up where I am, that it only happens by ridiculous things. So I was what happened? Right, so literally I was at the time I was kind of working up country in like Nottingham or Loughborough, wherever it was. And I came home to Cornwall pretty regularly. And it was actually Cribbs Causeway. And it was the Asda and Cribbs Causeway. And that was like halfway. So I would stop at Asda and Cribs Causeway and I'd get some food or whatever, get fuel because it's reasonably priced just off the motorway. Jobs are good. And I stopped there once, and we're talking like 2008. So we're talking many, 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 many years after base set. And they just had some random base set booster packs just hanging on kind of like the end of an aisle. I'm like, that's a bit weird. And they were like £1.49. They were like the price they were when they launched. So I bought a couple of packs, and then I kind of went home. And then I was sitting at home, and I'm like, that was dumb. Why did you only buy a couple of packs? And bearing in mind, like, I was still playing the video games casually at this point. Like, I played the new games when they came out, but I was not like the big, massive Pokemon nerd I am now. But I was like, that's a bit of your childhood, mate. You should have bought more of them. So on the way back up, I just bought them all.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they found a random booster box out the back. Because, like, this is literally 2008. This is, like, 15 years or something after base set came out.
Wild.
It's ridiculous. Like, there are probably many people who don't believe this story is true, to which I'm just like, I don't care. Why would I lie about this? So I bought them all, and I'm literally, like, sitting in my car, eating sausage rolls, opening these base set booster packs, which I would never do
sausage roll fingers.
So, like, I'm getting greasy. Oh, I shudder thinking about it. But again, like, back then, I was just some random dude who was like, I remember these from when I was a kid. I still play the games. And then, like, it literally, that sparked it. So I got home and I started kind of, looking around on the internet. And then I was like, I can go to Pokemon Leagues. And I went to an Arceus. So if you want to date it, very shortly after this, I went to a Platinum Arceus pre-release. That was the first, like, proper tournament I went to. So whenever that was. And, yeah. And then it just kind of, I have a bit of an obsessive personality. So... But it was literally finding those base set booster packs many years later. And the sad thing is, I could be selling them for like, if I kept them sealed, I'd be sitting on a little gold mine.
We can't play that game. Look, we've all done that. We're all like, I don't even know what my childhood cards are. I don't know where they are. I don't know where they've gone. I've looked in the loft. They just disappeared somewhere, and I know I had some bangers. So, like, we could all play that game of, like, if only I'd kept my mint inbox Pokemon Blue or whatever.
The thing is, I know for a fact that I would not... as much as I think I saw my cards when I was a kid on the market trying to get some money, I know for a fact they wouldn't have been in good condition. Because I've seen my Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I still have them, and they look awful. Like, I've got a secret rare... Why have I got bubbles popping out of my mouth?
What are bubbles?
I don't know.
I've got like a secret rare Trihorn Dragon and like a Buster Blader and stuff, and it's like they're awful condition. So I know for a fact the Charizard, the Dark Charizard I had would have been just a complete mess. It would be worth nothing.
Yeah.
Well. I pulled a base set Charizard from a booster pack as like a 13-year-old and immediately put it in like a hard magnetic case. And it's disappeared. So I have like an actual like minty straight from pack Charizard in a sleeve, in like a penny sleeve, and in a hard magnetic case. And I'm 99% sure my mum binned it at some point. So cheers, mum.
Brutal.
No.
I have no strength to even go out and buy sleeves. I just keep. I'm not saying the term I would use for Dolby having cards without sleeves, but it's like I wouldn't have kept them safe in any capacity.
No.
I will say it worked out because many years later, I gave my mate a lift to Bristol, and as payment, he gave me his old folder of Pokemon cards, which includes a complete base set. So that was nice.
What was it?
Oh my god!
This was before the boom,
the
second boom. This was, oh goodness me, I don't want to put 2013, 14, something like that. So. It was less ridiculous a present then.
I think
as it
in
would
2016, an ex-girlfriend of mine, for my birthday, bought me the full base set secondhand for £100, just in a binder, like the full base set.
That's wild.
And like I got some of them cards graded, so they're legit. I know they're real, and it's like I can't even comprehend the idea now that I got that full base set for £100, and some of them are like fourth print versions as well, which are apparently incredibly rare compared to like the Charizard isn't, and I think the Blastoise and the Venusaur are just still kind of wild. Yeah, and
nice fourth print Blastoise.
It's like they're pretty low population as well. It's just like it's mine. I have this. Weird thing to kind of tangent onto. I guess we should do the news roundup. I feel like I've got to kind of keep the formats that Jordan's put together.
Oh yeah.
So Pokemon Horizons has been delayed in the US, which is wild, given that we've just had 10 more episodes released on iPlayer this morning. Has anyone anyone watched any more?
That not yet, but I plan to because I was really enjoying it. It must be a streaming rights thing.
Yeah.
It must literally be a case of getting contracts and stuff because we've got it.
Yeah.
Like, look, lads, get a VPN and definitely do pay for a TV license. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I taught law for many years. I'm such a good boy. I literally do.
So
pay
do
for a
I.
TV
Like
license.
I do.
Yeah.
To watch live NFL.
So do I. It's easier.
It's not even English
I
telly.
bought it.
Also, for anyone, I don't know how in the know you boys are, but I'm in a very good mood today, because of Lions.
I don't know what that means.
They won their first playoff game since January 1992. And I've been following them for 14 years, and the whole time they've been terrible. And they won a playoff game this morning, and I'm very happy.
Are lions a
So
type
sorry,
of Pokemon?
I'm not a sports person.
No. Although there are lion Pokemon.
What are your favourite lion Pokemon?
Who are the Lions? What sort of sport are the Lions?
NFL.
Okay, cool.
American football.
Amazing.
Look, it happened today. I was going to find a way to shoehorn it into the podcast.
Hey.
It was always going to happen.
Very happy for you.
Maybe I changed it into a zip-up hoodie just so I could do the
enjoyed
reveal.
it. I also enjoy how you're
I
rocking
wish-
the staff hoodie as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, see,
that's
I know, right, I
baller.
need to tell you about this hoodie. This hoodie is amazing. It's got the Play Pokemon logo,
Oh.
and it's got paint on, but it's got corporate art Pikachu. And I was one of the early European internationals. I was casting. I've done all but one European international, and because I was working, I 1 year I tried to have a real job. Disaster. And so I was casting it, and somebody from Pokemon just walked past and was like, "Do you want a staff hoodie?" Okay.
Nice.
And then he just handed me this.
That's so good.
And it's like the best hoodie ever. It's so comfortable. I can't wear it much because I'll wear it out and it makes me really sad. But it's like the coolest hoodie I own. So I think
It's a good wear it to an event or on a podcast
Nice.
hoodie. It's a good, just special occasions hoodie. What's next on our list? I was watching this rubbish YouTuber just before we started going live. He was just talking about apparently how it was a really fresh upload. The Van Gogh Pikachu is now back.
People are going to be so disappointed.
I
I'm
am.
assuming you're talking about me. Cheers, Tom.
Yeah.
So, the thing is, it's really annoying sometimes. And I know the lovely Joe from Cerebi.net. We had to mention him, I
We
said
always
I
mention-
wouldn't.
we always
badmouth
mention
him
him.
on
You
the
and Joe
podcast,
get a regular weekly
so
mention
I won't.
in some capacity.
So I know Joe deals with this like I do, but I keep seeing people posting stuff that I know is categorically untrue or just literally made up. But because it's the internet and it's 2024, you tell people now, like, no, it's not. Like somebody was like, well, I've got sources that say Van Gogh Pikachu's coming back to the Pokemon Center. And I'm like, I'm fairly sure I've got better sources than you. And I've heard nothing about that.
Mm-hmm.
And they've posted this image, which did say it's coming back to stores in the Netherlands. And it did say it's coming back to the Pokemon Center.
Really?
The important thing they forgot to mention was this image was from before it got put back on the Pokemon Center. That's already happened.
Wow.
So they're just posting this out of context image, but we already had it back on the Pokemon Center. So it's coming back to stores in the Netherlands, only stores in the Netherlands. My prediction, don't know this for a fact, is that they stopped giving it out at the Van Gogh Museum because people couldn't behave. That's
Mhm.
true. They announced that because scalpers are horrible people. And I think they've literally just taken the cards that were going to be given out at the Van Gogh Museum and are just giving them to stores in the Netherlands. If it was a reprint, they would make it more widely available because they know how much people want it. I refuse to believe they printed any more. I think they're just reallocating stock from the Van Gogh Museum, which means it's going to be a relatively small amount at some stores. We don't know what they are in the Netherlands. The only thing I hope is that all the scalpers pay loads of money to come to the Netherlands and
that'd be beautiful.
don't find it.
You'd love to see it.
That would make me happy. And the Netherlands is great. Everyone should visit the Netherlands. It's my most visited country. I'm going back on Friday. I went 3 times last year.
Oh.
I love the Netherlands. Don't be a scalper, but do visit the Netherlands.
It's like a weird
It's
tourism
wonderful.
board advert.
Nice. Come, don't buy Pikachu cards. We might have them, but don't.
I live in this idealistic world where all these Van Gogh Pikachu are just going to go to local Dutch Pokemon fans who are going to put them in their folder because they
I
love
would like
Pikachu.
to believe that too. It's not going to happen, but that would be lovely. I was really upset.
And also, I was going to say, let's not forget all the hardcore Van Gogh fans
Oh, yeah.
who finally got Van Gogh cards.
There's a picture you used in your video, and it shows the back of someone's head. And I hope in the video it shows them turn around, because I thought it was the back of my own head, and I was really confused. It looked just like me, and I was like, "Oh no! Please don't make people think I was there." No, it's such a weird thing to see. But it's like that's the back of my head, and I saw it 2 days ago. I had a haircut. I know what it looks like. Anyway, Van Gogh Pikachu's returning, and now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, Nathan's Pokemon Go news round.
Nathan's Pokemon Go news. This week in Pokemon news, we've had the end of the Lustrous Odyssey event, which saw the introduction of Dusk Form Lycanroc. That has been and gone. So Rockruff is now out of rotation in terms of eggs. This week is the Dazzling Dream event, which introduces Shiny Cutiefly. I should know all of these things. It also is making Spritzy and other fairy types more common, and whilst not reported by Niantic, some people are reporting that some of the fairy Pokemon have got boosted shiny odds, such as Spritzy and who's the candy what's the thing I want? You know, like cotton candy. There's a cotton candy. Slurpuff? Is that the one?
Oh, Spritzy. No, Spritzy.
It's not. Is it Slurpuff? Cottony. No, that's the grass one.
It's not.
There's another fairy type which looks like cotton candy. I can't remember its name. People are reporting Spritzy and that one have got increased shiny rates at the moment, and there is data to back that up. We've just had the introduction of
Swirlix.
Swirlix, that's the one. We've just had Tornadus as part of the raid boss, and we also had Hisuian Typhlosion this week. This week coming is Thundurus. There we go. Therian form Thundurus, who is good, but obviously lots of people are waiting for Landorus, which will be the week afterwards. So if you want Therian form Thundurus, this is a good time to get out for your raid-in, and that'll be Wednesday night, 6 till 7 local time. Spotlight Hour this week is Routes. That's from 6 till 7 on Tuesday, and that's kind of it. Oh, also, we got the final announcement of Origin Form Dialga and Palkia. We're going to have new adventure abilities. Spatial Rend and Time something will do actual overworld things. I wrote so much of this, and my brain is a sieve. You know when you write a guide and you read all this, and then afterwards you're like, anything else, anything at all. Anyway, that's going to be happening at Pokemon Go Sinnoh Tour later on in February. There's going to be the LA one, then there's going to be the global event, and this is going to make Origin Form Dialga and Palkia available to everyone. I don't know about shinies, can't remember. That's kind of it. Also, I'm not sure when the next pool finishes, but just a reminder, Trubbish Minute. Trubbish is still in the pool at the moment in Pokemon Go. Get your Trubbishes. You can get it shiny. Trubbish. Get Trubbish. That's Trubbish Minute also.
Nathan loves Trubbish.
Why do we like Trubbish?
Trubbish is one of my favorite Pokemon, and it's my girlfriend's favorite Pokemon. So every week we have. Well, I started last week. This is the second one. Anytime I can find a chance to, I'm going to have a Trubbish Minute where we just appreciate him.
Do you like Garboda?
Yeah.
Well, I knew there'd be someone. I just never thought I'd actually meet.
I love. Oh God! Oh, hang on. Wait, no. Come back. No. The stupid tracking camera. Come here. Come on. Lads, that is terrible. This is getting cut. Can you come back to me, please? Oh my God! I need to. I'm shutting this camera off. This one's getting put to sleep. Hang on. Where's my boy? That was so bad. Come on, up here. Fresh cut. Yes, I love Garbodor. Garboda. There he is. Rainbow.
For anyone who's watching the video version, you'll be able to see the hastily balanced binder.
Somebody on the design team at Creatures likes Garbodor because it keeps getting really, really good cards. We even had that tool drop Trubbish, where like Trubbish itself was legitimately like a good, viable deck. Didn't even need, you would play Garbodor, but you didn't need Garbodor. You could literally just play Trubbish.
The new full art Trubbish. I'm so excited. I love it. I can't wait. Is that part of Temporal Forces? I can't remember if it's upcoming. I may have lost track of which one, but there's a recent full art Trubbish, and I love him.
Now we're all going to look out for this. Like, I can't imagine there being a nice full art Trubbish. That seems like a weird thing to exist.
It's Trubbish. It's Trubbish on a pile of rubbish, and I can't remember what set it's from. I think that, or maybe it is Garbodor.
Might be Garbodor.
It's Garbodor. It is Garbodor. Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. It's it just came out in Paradox Rift. And to be fair, the artist is very talented. They've almost made Garbodor look
that is
cool.
kind of cool. I do like that. It's got a weird Adventure Time kind of vibe to it, because like when they go to the
it is yeah.
But it's not. It's what I will say.
Oh,
sorry.
Pokemon Suites in Ikebukuro in Japan, in Tokyo. We went there. Pokemon took us there as part of our kind of media stuff. The bin there
is
so
cool.
A Trubbish.
I've got a video of me putting it in.
That makes me so happy.
But the shutters were down when we went there, because we went there a bit early, and the shutter was down directly in front of the bin. So trying to like get a picture of the Garbodor was really
and you couldn't really just spin it around either,
because there was no room to actually go.
I think it's really cool. Like how like as someone who's been in Pokemon for years, to experience the idea of actually going to Creatures, for me it was incredible. But how was that for you to finally go actually be there?
I mean, I've mentioned it at literally every opportunity in this podcast, so that should give you some idea. The thing, it was never really a goal of mine to go to Creatures, because the idea of going to Creatures was ridiculous. Like a few years ago, GameSpot and a couple of other journalists went to Creatures. As far as I am aware, that was the last time any like people got to go, just to kind of go and see what they do. And then the next trip after that, I was on. And like the thing for me is like, I've got my kids, which, you know, obviously love my kids and my wife and all of that. It's all the biggest part of my life. Outside of that, like my life literally revolves around the Pokemon trading card game. It's my job, it's my hobby, it's my obsession, like everything. And like everything else comes from that. I love Pokemon generally, but I love the card game the most. I love other card games, but I love Pokemon the most. So the idea of going there, and it's indescribably cool. And like, it's a kind of thing that's so cool, you don't aspire to go there, because the idea of being able to, like when I found out I was going, I was like, no. This is going to get cancelled. Like, this is a nice idea that's never going to actually happen. And then we got on the bus and we actually went there, and I'm like, oh, this is actually happening. And it was really fun. We had a chat with a game director, like the actual game director of the Pokemon TCG. And there was Joe, Sarah B. Joe, and myself, and a bunch of other people who were not anywhere near as into the
they should be clear. In that situation, they split us into two groups. We had the media and the influencers were two different groups. So the influencers all went together, and obviously the media was worldwide media from everywhere. So ours was a bit more laid back, chilled out, asking media questions. Where I imagine from what I've heard from yours, it was just you and Joe asking all the questions.
I was digging deep. I'm not kidding when I say about 2/3 of all the questions asked were me. But I want to make it super clear. We had a lovely PR person there, and they would ask for a question, and I'd look around the room. I'd make sure nobody else was wanting to ask a question, and then I'd look to the PR person, and they'd go on. And then so I was not jumping over anyone. I was a very good boy, but I asked so many questions, and I was digging in deep. I was going for it. It's like, I'm never going to get a chance to like quiz the director of the Pokemon TCG again. So I'm going for all my deep cut questions. And
you did the
right
right thing. Made the most of it. Like, assume you'll never go again. And like, whilst you're here, be like, right, Mega Audino, what went on? What happened?
Well, the funny thing was, there were a couple of other the influencers came, because we had a lovely meal in the evening, and a couple of the other influencers came up to me and were just kind of like, I really loved your questions. I had no idea what to ask. You clearly know your stuff. And I'm like, it's all I do. I know nothing about anything else but Pokemon TCG.
No, it was generally the most incredible thing. And I'm happy that thankfully that you were there and people like Joe were there, because I've got to know you guys over the last couple of years, and you've become like friends, which is wild to say. Like Like 2 years ago, I interviewed Joe for the Pokemon 25th anniversary content for Gaming Bible. Maybe 3 years ago now, however long ago it was. Time is an illusion. And I remember being slightly starstruck by Joe as well. And now, like, Joe responds to my tweets on Twitter. I'm like, oh, thanks, Joe.
Yeah. See, me and Joe talk like all the time. We're really good friends now. And my brother came round at Christmas and he gets his phone. He's got like a little Cerebi shortcut on his phone because he uses Cerebi that often. And I'm like, this is weird.
So
obviously, I used Cerebi the whole time.
Yeah.
And then, like, I met Joe one day and I'm like, oh, it's that dude from Cerebi. He's quite a big deal.
I think that was one of the moments where I was like, oh my God, this is my life now. Because Cerebi was my port of call for Pokemon stuff for ages. I remember getting the black and white original Pokemon revealed in Japan. And the very first scans I saw out of like Koro or anything were on Cerebi. So my very first introduction to loads of these, and like even further back than that, some one day, like, it's been like, hi, John, Nathan. I was like, this is weird.
It turns out he's
lovely.
He's lovely. He's very lovely. Yeah, God. This episode is basically just us going, isn't it? Everyone does nice. Don't we all like Pokemon?
That's nice. Jordan goes away for a week and we all love Pokemon again.
Mm-hmm.
No. We're always nice about Pokemon.
Yeah. I get like legitimate hate from people sometimes because I'm too enthusiastic, and people genuinely think like I'm putting it on or like I'm being a shill, or nobody's this enthusiastic about all these mediocre Pokemon cards, and I'm like, I am.
Mm-hmm.
But people just don't
it's great.
me.
Speaking of mediocre Pokemon cards, do we want to move on to pickups? Because last episode I described what I have been having as a saga where I have a Pokemon 151 pull card, and I want to get anything from Pokemon 151. And last week I said I promised I would buy some Pokemon 151 before this episode for pickups. And I have opened them, sadly, but I can reveal to you because my girlfriend's not very well, and she really enjoys opening Pokemon cards with me. So I got 2, and we opened them together. So I got 2 packs of 151 today to hope to break my spell, because I got an ETB. It was terrible. I bought a load of packs. And, folks, let me tell you, absolute nothing. Absolute nothing. We've got an Omastar, we've got a Magmar, we've got a Charmander. That was pretty much it. And then the other one, which the only good thing we have is we do have the Ditto. Yeah, you can see that. But I already had one.
That's a good card.
I
stand by that card.
I already had one. And the other shiny in that pack was Doduo. So 151 continues to be in the absolute mud for me. I want that Zapdos, but 151 has been the worst pull rate I've ever had of anything. So next week, gonna have another 151 pack. Can't wait.
Buy 151 packs until you pull anything at all.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do one a week until we at least get a full art or something. I haven't even got a full art.
I have full faith in you. I assume you can do it. Just buy like one of the binders. Buy the binder one, because then you'll get the lovely binder that's behind Ross.
I did see the binder was down in price.
I bought like 5 of these binders because they're really cheap, and they're fine. Like, they're not super high quality binders. They are
for the price you pay
decent binders. Yeah. And a lot of places selling them really cheap right now.
Yeah, I think I saw them down for like 14 quid, and they come with 3 boosters anyway, so that's probably the best price for like the boosters.
I bought the binders for like 4 quid each. They were brilliant.
What? Oh, amazing. Okay. Oh, what?
I found a store that was selling them.
Not with the boosters separately.
Makes sense.
No, just the binders.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. I think. Yeah, nice. Has anybody else got any pickups
Find me
this
a
week?
cheaper, decent binder.
Fair. Yeah. Any other pickups this week? Ross, have you bought any Pokemon merch you want to show off?
I actually see. I read the run of show. I did not see pickups was even there, but I did. I picked up something extremely cool this week. Oh no! Tell me it's here. Tell me it's here. It definitely is somewhere. My desk is just an absolute mess of cards. But no, wait. I found it because I did pick up one of the coolest things you will see this week. Mm-hmm. It was So I'm very lucky in a lot of ways. I have a lot of people who just go out of their way to help me out with stuff. So they opened a Pokemon Center in Taipei a couple of weeks ago, and they had an exclusive Pikachu promo.
Yeah,
there was a lovely chap called Roy who got in touch with me And they were like,
Oh my god.
do you want me to get you one? And they actually sent me 2 because the booster pack is so lovely. They were like,
That's so
you
nice.
need 1 to keep sealed and then 1 to open. So you've got the sealed booster pack with a lovely
Oh my
artwork.
God,
That's a
so
great
cute.
pickup.
And weirdly, it's such a good pickup. And based on this artwork, my 5-year-old daughter has suddenly realized Jigglypuff is her favorite.
Right.
I gave her a Jigglypuff plushie that I picked her up from school the other day and forgot to bring Jigglypuff. And she was legitimately upset with me.
Oh.
And like her teacher came over to see what was wrong
Oh,
because
that's
I'd
really
forgotten
so
to take
sad.
Jigglypuff.
fantastic.
Yeah, and that was it's amazing. Someone in Sweden a few weeks ago sent me this.
Oh, I thought it was a
which
GameStop
is-
one. Oh, it's still the Obsidian Flames stamp.
Ooh.
That's sick.
At the time I got this, it was only available in Sweden. I know it's been made available elsewhere. And this one isn't quite as exclusive, but I picked up the Japanese Detective Pikachu
I
because look
still
how
mean to
beautiful
pick
it
that up.
is.
That's
I
on
love
my
that
hit
one.
list of ones to buy. I think
The Chinese version is cheaper. So if you don't care about the language, the Chinese version is the better. And it does come in a little, like an actual
sweet.
little booster pack, which is really cool.
Was that a promo
Yeah.
with the game? I'm guessing there's no new
Yeah,
copies of
it
the
was
game
an early
anymore.
purchase.
Yeah.
You might still find it with the game. It depends where you go. It was one of those. It was an early purchase bonus, not a pre-order bonus. So some
fair
places
enough.
will still have it when you buy the game. Because I'm a ridiculous nerd, I bought it from the Pokemon Center Japan. Because you also got a
Incredible.
tiny
Is
little
that the
exclusive
really
figure
fluffy
of
one?
Detective Pikachu.
It
It's like
looks
that
so
big.
cute.
It's tiny.
No, it's
Oh,
fine.
I
wow.
don't
can't
worry.
get it now because it's over there.
I was hoping they were going to continue the tradition of like the giant Detective Pikachu amiibo that came with the 3DS game, and this time it's just going to be a bigger amiibo.
Oh,
Alas, no. But yeah, so that Type A Pikachu is one of
That's sick,
the
yeah.
absolute coolest, and like this happens to me quite a lot. I know how lucky I am, incidentally. Like I'll be talking about a card, and I'll just get like a random message from someone I don't even know, just being like, "I can help you out."
I'd
if
be
you
so
want to."
scared to give strangers my house
That's
address.
very sweet.
People are nice. I haven't. So the address I
Okay.
give out to people is not my actual home address. So I have like an address I can get stuff sent to where in the very, 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 very unlikely event that somebody considers me worth stalking,
Oh,
they will
that's
be
good. That's
very
okay then.
disappointed.
Yeah. I
Amazing.
think I only have one pickup this week. I ordered it today. I was really, really trying to get hold of the Pokemon Center stamp Charmander from the ETB because I realized I'd completely missed out on it. Sold out in the Pokemon Center, and I wanted to pick up the stamp from eBay, and it was like looking about 25 to 30 quid. So I just found an ETB for like just over retail price. Someone was selling it, the Pokemon Center one, and it must have someone just put it on for a lower price than they
Nice.
should. I'm like, come here, you're mine. So that's on its way to my house sometime soon, and I'll finally have
Okay.
that stamp Charmander, which is bloody lovely. I'd wanted it for a while, and I'll
Nice.
get that soon.
Well,
It's not the most exciting pickup.
yeah,
Yeah,
Ross
yeah.
definitely wins pull of the week. No.
I mean, Paldean Fate's soon, right?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Although it's really sad. Paldean Fate is releasing on the Friday
Oh,
of
really?
or the day before Liverpool regionals.
Mm-hmm.
So like I've got my ETB ordered, but it's going to come to my
Aw.
house, and I'm not going to be at my house because it's a regional that's in driving distance.
I'm
Obviously, I'm going to be there.
I'm in London that week for work and some other bits, so I'm not going to be at home. I can't go to Liverpool, sadly, because
Boo.
of working. I know I really want to. I will make an effort to go to the next one, and this was one of the first UK ones where I was like, I could feasibly get work to pay for
Yeah.
this, but sadly, no.
It's a win with me, like I say.
But
I don't know
hopefully
if
the
I'll
next
be able
one-
to justify it.
Yeah,
We only usually
We've got,
get one a
this will be
year.
the second time we'll have EUIC in London, though, which is kind of cool. In a row, I mean.
Yeah, we get EUIC in EUIC in London is great. I love it because generally speaking, like being a Cornish boy, I have to get a 5-hour train to London, and
my
that
God.
begins my journey. So like I'm flying to Amsterdam on Friday, like I mentioned. 5-hour train to London, then half-hour tube to Heathrow, and then a
That's
1-hour
horrific.
flight to Amsterdam.
Oh my god!
But I've got like the ridiculous. Whereas when I go to London, 5 hours.
Hi folks, it's Jordan here. Sorry for the abrupt ending to the show, but we had a bit of technical difficulties. That's what I get for going away. And I'm not on holiday, for the record, Tom. I was doing some very serious work. But the boys will be back next week for your regularly scheduled Secret Rare podcast. If you're watching the video version of this, Please enjoy this picture of Mareep that I've put up on the screen. Thank you to Ross for joining us when I was unable. Thanks to Nathan and Tom as always. Remember to subscribe to Secret Rare on YouTube and find us on Spotify and TikTok. Until next time, see you later.